Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on glue. Hi, and welcome back for another hot and heavy episode of Narcissu Side Second, and that is absolutely the worst opening I could have chosen for this specific story. I don't... Hot and heavy. This is why they should never have ever signed that contract that allowed me to finally start Let's Playing visual novels. They should have never done it. But that's on them now. You're about to feel the wrath of a menace, believe me. Welcome back, everybody. The last time we were together, a whole lot happened. We got a big old dose of the past. We enjoyed some time on the beach. That was a very warm and very heavy episode. And I imagine that as we continue on from there, it's only going to get more so. So let's just go ahead and jump right in and see how hot it is. See, it's hot. I wasn't wrong about it being hot and heavy. There you go. That's what I meant. Without thinking, the word slipped out. It looked like today was also going to be a true midsummer day. And in that, while heading to the usual hospital, I turned to a different place. The church. Since that day before going to the beach, it was my second time coming here. For some reason, Himeko-san did not try to meet with Chihiro-san. More accurately, it was probably not just Chihiro-san. Family and friends, anyone close, one could believe that she was avoiding them. And so, like this, in her stead, I came to Chihiro-san. The same as before, I quietly open the door, my feet step in.
Chihiro-san.
Chihiro-san.
Setsumi-san.
Ah, Setsumi-san?
これ持ってきた。
I brought this. As I spoke, I handed over the key that I was entrusted with.
姫子さんが渡してくれって。
Himeko-san said to hand this over.
そう。ありがとね。こんな暑い中。
I see, thank you, and in such heat. As she replied and accepted the key, Chihiro-san gave me her usual calm smile, and then from her pocket, she took out a handkerchief. The sweat that was running down my face, she gently wiped it off. Sometimes this sentence structure. Again, it's like reading, it's like your mouth and brain hitting a speed bump sometimes.
ありがとう。
Thank you.
あのね、お姉ちゃんに伝えてくれる？
So, can you tell One-chan for me? Huh?
もし必要な時は。
If there's a time that she needs it,
いつでも言ってねって。
tell her to just say anytime.
わかった。
Alright. All while she was speaking, Chihiro-san continued to dab away my sweat.
それじゃ。
Well then...
ちょっと待って。
Ah, wait a moment.
あなたの上に主の豊かな恵みと祝福がありますように。
May the bountiful blessings and grace of the Lord be upon you.
また私のため。
Again, for my sake? For that question, there came no answer. Just the usual gentle smile faced me. When I left the church, it was like a deluge of cicada cries. The sun right overhead dropped sharp, black, short shadows during the peak of its heat. In the middle of this, Chihiro-san said she would now go to university, and when that ended, she would come again to the 7th floor. Saturdays, she also went to a school for the disabled, and Sundays helped with mass, so she said. I was sure that compared to people of similar age, she was entirely different. They would pass their time in self-centered fun ways. This way of life, whether it was truly Chihiro-san who followed that path, or if one were Catholic, it was perfectly natural. I didn't know. What is going on with this script? Again, like I feel like, I don't like complaining this much, but I feel like like when we compare the script to the first game, it reads a lot easier in English, whereas I feel that this just did not get another pass or something. Like, again, I feel like my brain and mouth are hitting speed bumps trying to read the way these sentences are ordered and, like, composed sometimes. Once again, coming to the hospital, I followed the white tape running along the floor and headed to the elevator. And on the now familiar 7th floor, I hastened towards the room where Himeko-san was waiting.
どうぞ。
Come in!
いらっしゃい。今日も暑かったでしょう。
Welcome! Today was probably hot too, wasn't it? Huh? Before I could reply, I was caught by something else. At a glance, it seemed that she was in the middle of digging around for something.
ああ、これ今日は入浴デーだから準備してた
Oh,
んだよ。
today's a bathing day, so I was getting ready. Now that she said so, I saw that set out around the table were wash basins, shampoos, and the like.
そうだ。あなたも一緒に入りましょ
I
うよ。
know. Why don't you come in with me?
入る。
Come in?
そうよ。一緒にお風呂よ。
That's right. Together in the bath. Eh?
何がおかしいのよ。
What's so funny?
今のリアクションは良かったわよ。普段がクールだから余計に。
That reaction just now was the best. You're normally so cool, so even more so.
ほらほら、女の子同士なんだから、そんな恥
Oh,
ずかしがら
now
なく
we're
ていいじゃない
both
の。
girls, so you don't have to be so embarrassed about it. I thought about objecting that Himeko-san wasn't a girl, but stopped.
じゃあ、行きましょう。
Well, let's go.
でも、
But wait.
はいはい、いいからいい。
Don't worry. Somewhere, Himeko-san seemed to be having fun. Like she were poking fun at me and my hesitation, as if she were pushing me from behind. She took me along. Again, I think this script is like getting worse the longer the game goes. Just kind of saying.
ねえ、汗も流れて気持ちいいでしょ。
See, washing the sweat off feels good, doesn't it?
うん。
In the end, I was almost half forced into the bath. However, I had thought that it wouldn't be wide enough for us to go in together, but there was enough room for two to manage. Well, I mean, that probably has to do with the fact that, yeah, I built with the assumption that a helper or an attendant would also go in. That's kind of why I didn't even second guess why two people would go into the bath together. But instead of the size of the bath, I noticed something else and couldn't help but fall
も
silent.
しかして珍しかった？
Is it unusual? Saying that, Himeko-san pointed at the large scar on her own chest. So large that my own small scar couldn't even
やっ
compare.
ぱ私も女の子だからね。
Well, I guess I'm also a girl after all.
これができた時はショック大きかったわ。
When I got this, it was a big shock. I quietly listened to those words. Even if I had wanted to reply, I couldn't think of what to say.
ほら、背中流してあげるから、そこ座って。
Hey, I'll wash your back, so you sit there.
わかった。
And so, together in the shower, she gently washed my back with a towel. I couldn't help but recall how it was like Chihiro-san had earlier wiped my sweat away. For me, I didn't know whether Himeko-san was a devoted Catholic or not, but both of them, without question, I believed were very kind people.
ねえ、ひめこさん、
Hey, Himeko-san.
どうして千尋さんを
Well,
好きな
okay, we're just gonna get right into it, aren't we? Why are you avoiding Chihiro-san?
前にも言った通りよ。
Huh? It's just like I said before.
やっぱり優しくていい
Because she's a kind and good
人だ
person?
から。まあ、半分はね。
Well, that's half of it.
じゃあ残り半分は
Then the other half is...
それは秘密よ。ルールにもあるしね。
That's a secret. There's also a rule after all. Rule? That had also been a word from
だ
before.
ったら私は
And if so, what am I?
私は 優しくていい人じゃないから、お姉さんも親切にしてくれるの。
I'm not a gentle and kind person, so the One-san will be kind to me? At that question, this time Himeko-san also fell silent. And then, after a bit of thought,
特別なのよ、コロッケ博士はね。
she's special, that Professor Croquette.
またそんなこと言って。
Saying that again.
そろそろ上がるわよ。
Hey, it's about time we got out! In the end, the conversation was avoided. Even without that, Himeko-san's words had many incomprehensible points and were full of secrets. But just maybe, I was being mixed with someone else in her eyes. Oh.
どう？もう食べ終わった？
So, have you finished eating?
うん。ってまたブロッコリー残して
Hey,
る。
you're leaving the broccoli again.
だってあんまり好きじゃないん
I
だもん。
don't really like them. Man, I love me some broccoli. I don't know what everybody in this story's problem is with broccoli, but I am like, man, you give me all the broccoli, raw, cooked, I don't care. Like, I will eat broccoli in any, like, way that broccoli can be prepared. Sign me right up for it.
しょうがないわね。
Oh, there's just no helping you. Even though previously she would eat them, now she had come to leave them because she didn't like them. But this wasn't like her sickness had turned for the worse and her appetite dulled. It was simply that she was warming up to me, probably, thinking that also made me
じ
happy.
ゃあ、はい。体温計。
Well, here we go. Thermometer.
お口で測ってもいいけど、噛まないようにね。
You can take it in your mouth. Be careful not to bite on it.
うん。
With a smile, the girl held the thermometer in her mouth. What shone on that face, the summer sun, came through windows that could only open 15 centimeters. Today, as I once again sat in the folding chair, she directed a happy face toward me.
あ、そういえば。こら、危ないから喋っちゃダメ。
Hey, it's dangerous, so no talking.
はーい。
In a moment, the thermometer's alarm rang and I read out the numbers on the LCD.
何度？
What degree?
6度5分。このくらいなら平熱ね。
36.5. This is about normal.
じゃあ、今日も行きたいかも。
Then I might want to go today, too.
中にはそれともアイス？
The courtyard or ice cream? Why not both?
どっちかな。
You ain't gotta pick.
ちょっと悩むかも。
Let's just do both. If there were no problems with her temperature, they would go to either one. If this was this was with the doctor's acknowledgement, and lately it had already become a tradition.
で、そうだ。
Oh yeah.
それよりもね、知らないおばさんに
Other
話しか
than
けら
that,
れ
a
た
lady
の。
I didn't know spoke to me.
知らないおばさん？いつ？
A lady you didn't know? When?
ね、昨日の夜
last night.
に。
Who could it be? The people who could come to this place place called the 7th floor was, in its own way, supposed to be restricted. First, there were patients, and then the families that come to visit. Then there were the doctors, nurses, and us helpers. Other than that, rarely. Only the priests and sisters would come. That was supposed to be it.
誰かのお見舞いの人かしら。
Was it someone's visitor?
パジャマ着てたから、ここの人だと思う。
She was wearing pajamas. I think she's someone from here. Well, that was a bit strange. Sure, in a normal ward, the mingling of patients was common. Once in a while, from a chance meeting in a place, even a lifelong friends or business partners would be made. But this 7th floor was different, because everyone was aware of their imminent death. Mingling between patients was almost unthinkable.
それで、何を話しかけられたの？
And what did she say to you?
なんか
I was asked which time.
何回目？
Which time?
初めてだったら教えることがあるって。
Yeah, she said if it was the first time, then she had something to teach me.
なんて答えたの？
What did you say?
よくわからないって言ったら、また今度って言われた。
When I said I didn't really understand, I was told she'd come again. What could that be about? Come to think of it, there had been a rumor I heard how among only the patients on the 7th floor, a legacy continued to be passed down of rules and the like. Of course, I didn't believe it, and when I asked my previous assigned people, of course they denied it. But it was such a legacy. If such a legacy really existed, just what on earth were they passing down?
お姉さん？ごめんなさい。
Sorry. Without meaning to, I had been staring into space.
じゃあ、今日は中庭にしようか。
Well then, shall we go to the courtyard today?
ほら、珍しく今日は天気もそれほ
Look,
ど暑
for
くない
once
し。
today's weather isn't that hot.
アイスも惜しいけど。
But leaving the ice cream is a bit sad.
だったら中庭でアイス食べましょう。
Then let's eat ice cream in the courtyard. You just take the best of both worlds. There's nothing like a nice little outside dinner, outside snack. Eating outside is fun. I don't care what anybody says. Even if it was cool, it was midsummer. No matter how much wind there was, the sunlight itself was strong. That was why, leaving the girl on the shaded bench in the courtyard, I dashed to a neighborhood convenience store.
お待たせ。
Sorry for the wait. With the ice brought from the convenience store in hand, I ran back.
すごい汗。
So much sweat.
熱い。
It's so hot. Because of the flowing sweat, without thinking, I flapped my skirt. Dashing in this midsummer, sweating was to be expected.
まだ溶けてないわよ。
Here, it hasn't melted yet. Have an ice pop.
ありがとう。
Thank you. But where's One-san's share?
大丈夫よ。
It's okay. It was a 60 yen pouch of soda ice. With an exaggerated flourish, I took out the contents to show her.
じゃ
Ta-da!
ーん。2つに
And it comes with 2.
それ。
Take that.
はい。
Here, we each get half. Under the blazing summer sun, the two of us ate soda
やっぱア
ice.
イスは暑いところで食べるのが一番よね。
Yeah, eating ice is the best in hot places, isn't it?
ちょっと溶けてる
Yeah,
け
but
ど。
it's melting a bit. As we spoke about that, we ate. In the flower bed before our eyes, pansies and gerberas bloomed proudly. The winter use area from the other day, even that would most likely have something planted in it again.
で、またあれやってほしいかも。
I might want you to do that thing again.
いいわよ。じゃあちょっとアイス持って。
Sure, hold the ice for a bit. Both hands of the girl held one ice each. One was mine and the other was hers. I took from my pocket the rosary and, as always, brought my hands together quietly.
私たちが人に許すように。
As we forgive those who trespass against
私
us,
たちの罪をお許し
forgive us our trespasses. The Lord's Prayer, also called Our Lord. Probably anything would have been fine. It was simply that I thought of her, and if she was happy with that, then it was enough.
もう
Okie
終わった
dokie.
わよ。
All done.
ありがとう。
Thank you.
いえいえ、大した魔法じゃないですから。
Oh no, it's not any great magic after all. In the end, I was simply one of the faithful, and it was nothing more than an imitation. It probably didn't need saying, but none of those words were my own either.
今日のは誰の言葉なの？
Today, whose words were they? Like, why wouldn't you just, like, whose words were those today? Like, why wouldn't you just phrase it like that? This is driving me nuts. This is driving me... It's driving me way more nuts than it should this time around. Maybe today's not the day to be reading a visual novel.
もちろんイエス様ご自身よ。
Of course, Lord Jesus himself.
じゃあ他の人のも
Then there are
ある
other people's too?
え、すっごく偉い聖者様とか教皇様とかたくさんの人の言葉
Yes,
があ
there
る
are
わ。
words of very great saints, popes, words from many people.
そんなにいっぱいあるの。
Wow,
お姉さん
there's
知
so
ってるんだ。
many, and One-san knows them. To the girl who seemed impressed, I gave a nod. Of course, I didn't know them all, but reading the things related in a way to the gospel was my intention.
で、そうだ。ねえ、あげようか。
Hey, I know. Hey, how about I give this to you? As I spoke, I once again took out from my pocket the rosary.
いいの？
What?
私が
It's
もらっても
okay for me to take this?
私はもう一つ持ってる
Sure,
し。
have another one.
何よりこれで一緒にできるようになるわよ。
What's important is that this way we'll be able to do it together.
できるって私にも魔法が？
This is breaking my heart right now. Able to do... I can do magic too?
魔法かどうかは知らないけどね。
I don't know if it's magic. Holding the rosary in her hand, the girl looked happy. Normally, patients of the 7th floor were admitted and discharged a number of times. But for the girl, there was no home to return to. That was why she was always here. That was why I, too, was always by her side. Nello and Alois met, and soon it would be the 2nd month. Normally, it was the time that the first discharge would have come. Oof. Taboo. Welcome to the darkest side of taboo. All I got is permanent scars and tattoos.
はい、今日のお弁当。
Here, today's lunch.
うん、
All
で
right,
きます。
I'll be going. Just like always, with lunch in hand, I headed to the hospital. Even though it was already halfway through August, the hot days still seemed to be continuing. The 7th floor. To the nurses whose faces I had become familiar with, I lowered my head slightly in greeting. What I then saw in the hall was a number of patients. Since it was right when the morning temperature examinations ended, they had probably come with their helper for a walk. Suddenly, while I was looking at these people with white wristbands, a thought occurred to me. The residents of the 7th floor, couldn't they be divided into two groups? The patients who seemed almost to have taken a philosophical view and were calm, and those who seemed to always be busy doing something.
大丈夫ですよ。ちゃんと支えてますから。
Ah, it's fine. I'll be firmly supporting you. Hearing a voice I recognized, I turned around and there was Chihiro-san. She was with an elderly lady in a wheelchair. Most likely, that person was Chihiro-san's assigned person. Say, a walk again later? Could we do that?
そうですね。もう少し日が陰ってから中庭に出ましょうね。
Let's see, when the sun weakens a bit more, let's go out to the courtyard. With a calm way of speaking, she turned her usual gentle face to the elderly lady. Say, Chihiro-san, would you do that thing you always do?
いいですよ。
Yes, I can. I had thought that she would answer that way, so as she quietly joined her hands.
私たちを試みに合わせないでください。
And lead us not into temptation. And she offered up a prayer, a number of other words following.
ね
Hey,
え、節美さん。
Setsumi-san,
ああやっていつも祈ってるの。
do you always pray like that?
ええ、誰かのために祈るのは良いことで
Yes,
すからね。
because praying for someone is a good thing. Chihiro-san answered with her usual kind expression. But at those words, I felt something that nagged at me. For someone. That was why I tried asking a direct question.
自分のためじゃダメなの。
It can't be for yourself?
それは。
That's... There, her words stopped. There was no more response from her. The usual gentle face was also gone. The first time I saw that expression on Chihiro-san, a simply troubled face was looking at me. Like before, Himeko-san was gazing at maps. At my entering the hospital room, she just gave me a brief glance, her eyes soon returning.
面白い。
Is it interesting? Does it seem that way?
うん。
As I answered, I sat down next to her and gazed at the maps also. Just as I thought, this sort of activity couldn't be considered fun, but these maps, what were they to Himeko-san, I wonder? Even the 7th floor people who seemed to have taken a philosophical view on everything, perhaps they too wavered with some regrets.
例えるならば、私たちは死刑囚ね。
If one were to give a comparison, then we are the condemned. Huh?
死ぬと宣告だけされたけど、
We've only been informed that we will die, but
その日がいつ来るかわからないから、限られた時間に追われているのよ。
that day, when it will come, is unknown. So we're hounded by that limited time. The condemned. Now that she's said it, one could almost agree. Just as I had thought just before, on this 7th floor, there were people who were always busy. Rather, one could even think that because they knew that they were dying, they were trying to be lively. Or perhaps, for people, being aware of death, maybe that's the first time that they're also able to become aware of life.
落ち着いている者は、すでに覚悟のできた人でしょう。
The ones who are calm, those are probably the ones that have already prepared
もし
themselves.
くは、そう装っているものでしょうね。
Or perhaps those who are pretending they have.
姫子さんは、
And Himeko-san is...
もちろん後者よ。この年で覚悟決められる人間なんていないわ。
Of course, the latter. At this age, there isn't anyone who could prepare themselves. She declared it
そうじゃ
plainly.
なかったら、死ぬまでにやってみたい銃のことなんて言わないでしょ。
If that weren't true, then I wouldn't be talking about the 10 things I want to do before dying now, would I? Saying just that, once again, Himeko-san gazed at the maps. Then she turned to me, who was gazing at the maps in the same way.
説明。髪、伸びているわね。
Setsumi, your hair is growing long, isn't it?
あ、うん、
Yeah,
そうかも。
it might be. Now that she mentioned it, it might have gotten a bit longer. This month, Mother hadn't cut it for me yet.
切ってあげようか。
Shall I cut it for you? Huh?
来なさい。お姉さんがカットしてあげるから。
One-san here will cut it for you. At the sudden offer, I couldn't really grasp the situation, but with Himeko-san already walking ahead, I followed after. Then, when we came in front of the nurse's station, she turned to the nurse inside.
ねえ、上行きたいんだけど、貸してくれる？
Hey, I'd like to go up, so could you lend it to me? Nothing wrong with that. Is it a haircut?
ええ、今日は風もないからね。
Yeah, there's no wind today after all. Then, after taking something from the nurse, Himeko-san once again walked down the
説
hall.
明、こっちよ。
Setsumi, over here. Walking a bit, the place we finally stopped at was the head of the hall. To be correct, it was just where you got off the emergency stairs, in front of the always closed large metal door. Up until now, I had never seen it open. It was most likely that this was the entrance to the roof.
じゃーん、ここで鍵の登場。
Ta-da! And here, the key comes on stage. For a second, the world turned pure white. When my eyes adjusted, what appeared before me was strong wind, summer sky, high fence, many laundered sheets fluttered in the wind.
今日はいい天気ね。絶好の散髪日和よ。
Today, the weather's nice, isn't it? It's perfect haircutting weather. You ever got a haircut outside? I can only think of it happening once I was probably like 6 or 7 years old when it happened. I just remember being put out in the front yard on a chair and feeling like I was being put on display, and it was very weird. Looking up at the sky, Himeko-san spoke up. This is your first time, right? Coming here? Yep, first. Well, that's normal. For hospitalized patients, it's a place where they're absolutely forbidden to come at all. That reason, even without saying, could be about... Yeah, I mean, it's why you got a big high fence here, even though someone determined enough. A fence about the same height as the 7th floor ceiling. What reason put it there was as simple as if you thought about it. So, shall we cut hair? We're really gonna do it? It'll be fine. Even looking like this, One-san here is good at it. As she spoke, she pointed to a small bench before us. So, first, have a seat there. And then she took out a big, clear, white garbage bag. Next, put your head through there. Probably cut with scissors. There was a hole just large enough to pass one's head through in the garbage bag. When I put my head through, as told, like a barber shop's cover, it totally covered my body. And then, before my eyes, she made the scissors go swish swish. Well, miss, how long would you like it? Well, I mean, at least you're asking. I remember somebody in 2236 who got real playful with scissors. Didn't really ask a lot of permission for many things, really. Miss? A summary short. How does that sound? Just a trim. Understood. While laughing and running through with a brush, Himeko-san, with a practiced hand, then began cutting. Snip, snip. The delightful sounding swish of scissors. Just now, she seemed to be trimming the hair in the back for me. If she cuts it strangely, that'd be bad. While holding that thought, I also considered other things. She said that the hospital patients couldn't come to this place. The reason even I could understand and be satisfied with. Then, unheeding of the fact that she was a resident of the 7th floor, why was it that Himeko-san could come here like this? Was it because she was a former helper? So she's trusted? Hey, Setsumi. What you're concerned about, is it your own hair? Huh? Or is it something else, perhaps? The something else. It's fine. I'll answer it for you. By being a former helper and therefore being trusted, that's not the reason. Then what? Even in these modern times, it's one of the prohibited acts for Catholics. At first I didn't understand what she was saying, but I soon realized. Suicide. For a former Catholic, you're still trusted, aren't you? Really? Really? It just makes you want to betray their expectations on a whim and try jumping past the fence, doesn't it? As always, Himeko-san said something where I couldn't tell if she was serious or joking. I mean, with this girl, I think there's a bit of column A and column B in like everything she says. Though likely she wasn't, but just if suddenly she ran towards the fence, what would I do? Right now, I was the only one here. Somehow, while thinking only about that, I started feeling uneasy. Okay, something like this, perhaps? All right, miss, the cutting is over. Thank you. As I replied, I accepted the hand mirror and looked at my hair. The bangs! When I looked about 2 centimeters above the eyebrows, it was cut straight across. It's like a Japanese doll or a child or a Shichi-go-san. Oh, okay, yeah. Day of celebrating children's ages of 7. Yeah. Okay. It's cute, Setsumi. Yeah, you were busy worrying about the other thing after all. You're a girl, so you should worry about your own hair. At my somewhat sulking face, Himeko-san looked like she was enjoying herself even more. No matter how much you say it suits me or is cute, laughing like that, there's no persuasive force behind it. Helplessly, I gave a sigh. Then I asked about the thing that I had sensed from before. Say, this is just maybe, but are you seeing someone else in me? Quite the perceptive question, that one. And then, when she thought a bit, half of it might be that. Then the remaining half? That's a secret. This was also made a secret. It was the same with the rules from before. Once in a while, there were things that Himeko-san wouldn't talk about. Well, shall we go back? Putting away the scissors she used, the two of us cleaned the space of Himeko's barbershop. Then, just when I thought that she was walking towards the door we entered from, suddenly those feet stopped and turned around. Ah, that's right. About the final one. I'm thinking that it might be about time. The final one? About time? Most likely, it was probably referring to what she had mentioned before, the 10 things she wanted to do before dying. Are you planning on going somewhere again? Yeah, at least here is no good. This height, it's not enough. Was she saying that for jumping off? It wasn't enough. Those were her words as she pointed at the rooftop fence. This is something you don't know, but to be honest, should be around my 2nd time. What's this about? The number of times for being admitted into the hospital, though because I have connections, I was always here. And then I was taught that the 3rd time was the last, and there is no 4th. But yeah, it looks like my strength's close to its limit, you see. Sneaking out of the hospital, I think this will be the last time. Anyway, I think coming back on the same day would be impossible. But if it's okay, come with me. Slowly, the sky stained orange. As the burning sun sank, the loud mean Zemi switched over to Higurashi. The place I suddenly stopped at was the usual schoolyard. Not really doing anything, just standing in front of the metal bar, thinking about the things from just before. One-chan, do you want to play with the bar? Perhaps out of consideration for me being there, a child playing nearby once again spoke to me. It's fine, I don't mind. At that reply, even while giving me a somehow mystified look, the child once again ran back to the group of friends who were playing. Just before Himeko-san said that returning on the same day was impossible. Where were we going? Where we were going, she didn't know yet, but I was told to make sure to get Mother's permission. If it's okay, come with me. I won't force you. Even saying that, when you spend close to a month together and then say that this would be the last, again, the two of us ate today's dinner. Atop the table were the usual dishes and fried things. Looking pleased, Mother beamed at the empty lunchbox. Even during the dinner that was the same as always, I was thinking about what happened earlier. Say, Mom. Something the matter? I've been invited to go on a drive again. Oh, that's great! That Himeko-san, right? But this time we're staying one night. That's fine. It doesn't matter. Despite the possibility of what if, she easily gave her permission. Then I'll make lunch for you again, okay? Thank you. I'll do my best at making them again. Oh, that's right. Today's wasn't bad either. Saying that, the plate that she offered up was the usual fries. What's wrong? You like fries, don't you? So naturally, very matter-of-factly, Mother offered them, seeming very pleased. But on those hands wasn't a pink manicure. Instead, a slightly reddened hand happily offered the plate. For fries, all I had to do was quietly eat them. No matter how much I hated them, if I endured it, it was fine. But was this really kindness, I wonder? Suddenly, I was reminded of Himeko-san's words. Even if whoever was punishing us were to not give us a pardon, I really wanted to say I'm sorry to Mother, to Himeko-san. Hey, Mom. I gathered up my courage and brought things to light. Whoa! Himeko-san is someone from the 7th floor. Huh? What's the 7th floor? The hospice. Oh, she's a nurse there? It might have been perfectly natural, but that's how she was thought of. A patient there. What's that? The hospice's patient. Huh? The hospice's patient. A long, very long silence. The voice of the host on the television, not as words, but as noise, rang out. In reality, it might have been a very short time, but for me, it felt unbelievably long. I thought just maybe, never again would time move. It seemed that never again could something go back to how it was, and I was afraid. Already, the smile that had been there before was gone. The hand holding a croquette was where it had stopped. Even though she had been so happy that I made a friend, if I hadn't revealed it, even now, which she would have been smiling. Stop, Setsumi. Getting close to that kind of person. Your mom is afraid. When I think that someday you might wind up like that. I'm sorry. As expected, I had no other words. That isn't kindness. Words which Himeko-san said to me, who silently ate the fries. But putting that into action, I had been told it would be very difficult. Jesus, that's... Yo. again. What do you say? What do you say at the end of recording a part for Narcissu other than just and I'll just leave it at that. No witty banter, nothing fancy. Hey, thanks for coming out as always. I hope you have a nice rest of your wherever it is that you are, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.